Welcome to Indiana Sports Beat Radio, presented by Endeavor Hospitality Group and Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Looks over the middle, second guesses, fires, throws. Does he make the catch in the end zone? Yes! Touchdown! Oladipo to win it.
Another one!
He got
Another
it!
one! Another
Oladipo!
one! Huge hole! He's at the 30! He's gonna go! 10, 5, touchdown! Jonathan Taylor!
Galloway finds Rob Finnessy, fires the three, and
He hit it!
Now, from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios, here's your host, Jim Coyle.
Hello, everybody. Welcome aboard Indiana Sports Beat, coming to you here on this Monday. I hope you had a great weekend. Jim Coyle with you as always. My man Dustin Schutte alongside from Outsider.com. Hope all is going well. How was your weekend, sir?
It was great. Went to a brewery, enjoyed some live music, watched a lot of college basketball, watched some golf. Great weekend. Great weekend. How was yours?
We'll talk about it all. Don't forget, we're brought to you by and powered by our great friends from Andy Moore Honda. Just go to AndyMooreHonda.com where you can get more to your door and the best deals on new and used vehicles. Number one Honda dealer in Bloomington, as well as Endeavor Hospitality and their wealth of restaurants in and around the Bloomington area. Great places like BB's Market, where you'll find us each and every Friday doing the show live. Love it. Getting my grub on then, baby. And I continue to perfect my bacon.
Okay.
I have, after already taking it to a level that is beyond comprehension, I exceeded that. I've gone one more. I found in digging through, the drawer under the stove, it always has all the stuff in it that you like. What the hell is all this stuff? You're like, what's this big old pan for? What the hell am I going to use this for?
Right.
It's always has that kind of stuff in it. Well, I found these two, I don't know, maybe 8-inch by 8-inch little extra pieces of grill looking kind of a thing. And I'm like, my thinker got on, and so I've already used them twice. I used it to bake a ribeye on. Just put the Reynolds wrap underneath, grilled it. It was perfect. But then I had started doing the bacon, and so put the bacon on there with my cracked black pepper and my Parmesan cheese on that little grill thing. Forget about it. It's unbelievable. It's like crack.
It sounds good. I'm gonna have to.
No,
it's not.
It's not. It's perfect. I mean, it is.
It sounds
literally.
perfect.
I'm not kidding. It is perfect. It is just perfect bacon. But lots to get to here today. As a lot happened over the weekend in the sports world. Indiana, of course, big games with Illinois. The women are the Big Ten champions. And I'll be honest with you, like Grace Berger, I did not realize the Big Ten championship was on the line yesterday. I wasn't, either I had just missed that. Don't recall seeing that. But I just wasn't thinking about it for whatever reason. Until that announcement came, I'm like, oh crap, that's right. It's like Grace Berger. I was like, I didn't think about that. But that very, very cool. You don't see nets cut down in Simon Scott Assembly Hall very often. I've seen it twice. The women have done it both times. 2018 when they won the NIT here. And then, of course, yesterday. Now, they have to go to Iowa yet, Dustin, to take on the Hawkeyes, who have a shot for a share of the Big Ten championship. But the Hawkeyes have to go to Maryland first, I believe, tomorrow night, which is going to be a hell of a test. Maryland, one of the top teams in the Big Ten, which is probably the toughest conference in women's basketball. We'll have to talk about that because it's very top heavy. But But Iowa's got a man. Iowa's got a going to Maryland. That's a chore.
Yeah, it's not going to be easy. So I think if you're an Indiana fan, you've come this far. You've got one loss with one game to play at Iowa. You'd like to win the Big Ten outright. You'd like to have that prize just to yourself. So there's going to be some rooting for Maryland. You'd like to just beat Iowa next weekend and have that be the final feather in the cap of this season. But, you're not going to complain if you get some help from Maryland this week. It's going to be interesting, though, because, we talked about this, and we'll probably continue to talk about it later in the show. It's going to be interesting to see how the officiating goes in that game, because I'm sure the Big Ten would like to have something on the line in that final game on Sunday between Indiana and Iowa. I'm not saying the fix is going to be in, but we might have some loose officiating in that game on Tuesday or Wednesday.
She is already the most protected player in America. She has better protection than President Biden.
I like that.
I'm not kidding.
Correct. You're not wrong.
She has Big Ten officials are like the Secret Service when she's in a basketball game. It's almost. I'm surprised. I'm surprised I haven't seen one diving in to protect her from being fouled.
Well,
I'm surprised I haven't seen them. Oh my God, that would be a great. If I could draw, that would be a great something to draw. An official diving in to take a foul to protect Caitlin Clark.
Yeah. There you go. I like it. Well,
she is the most protected player, and it drives me insane because she's the most arrogant player out there.
Well,
but she's also she might be the most talented player. So I got to give. I'm giving her that. I got to give her that.
Yeah.
You can't take anything away from her talent. She is probably the best player in women's basketball. Now I say probably because there's plenty I haven't seen. Right. I've seen her partly because of her antics, the other part because she plays in the Big Ten. So she's a tremendous player. I mean, she's a badass player. But it drives me insane. The constant whining, she is protected. I mean, she is totally protected. She gets calls, and it does drive. There's no other player in the game right now, men or women.
I was going to say I don't think so either.
That is getting what she's getting, and it's like, oh my God, she's our one. We've got her. This is the queen of college basketball, so we have to prop her up. Well, I promise you, Terry Morin doesn't give a crap. Iowa's coach doesn't give Maryland's coach doesn't give a crap. South Carolina's coach doesn't give a crap about Caitlin Clark.
No.
Screw that. It's kind of odd.
There's a couple plays that I watched because the Nebraska-Iowa women's game was after the Illinois-Indiana game on Saturday, and so I tuned into that. And there was one play where I think she elbowed one of Nebraska's players in the face, and got a foul. The defender got called for the foul. And then there was another play where she deliberately just shoved a girl to the ground and got a layup out of it, and there was no foul call. So we were having this discussion before we came on the air as to whether she's like a dirty player or if she just takes advantage of what she can. And I think that's the case.
And that's a great question. Because using the word dirty,
right. I would not put it in the class of dirty.
No, me either.
I would put it in the class of she knows what she can get away with. Like, she's not,
I put it in the class of getting away. She gets away with whatever she can get away with.
I think, but it's not like Grayson Allen was a dirty player, right? Grayson Allen tripping guys, doing whatever, you could probably have put Brad Davison from Wisconsin in that category because of some of the things that he did when he was on the floor. I don't see that from her, but I mean, she she knows what she can get away with, and I think it is more of the whining aspect, like that's the irritant, right? Like the fact that she thinks she gets fouled on every play, kind of like the NBA stuff that we see.
Yep. Hey, before we get too far in, a shout out to everybody on the Andy Moore Honda hotline, hitting us up early and often. You can do this. You can do so as well. Just go to the comment sections on YouTube. I know we've got great folks listening all over the place, but I want to give a shout out to Kenneth popping on, Fred, of course, from the Easton Assassin, Lee, Land O'Lakes, Florida, John from Cincinnati. We're not on WKRP there. WKRP in Cincinnati. Oh, wow. You act like you remember that song. You don't remember that song.
I remember it was a show, right?
It was a great show. I loved it.
It used to be on, when I was growing up, it used to be on the old Nick at Night. And I would watch it. Now, I don't remember much of it because I was younger.
They don't run it anymore.
No, they don't. But I do remember watching it, and I remember
Les Nessman was the best. Let's see. I said Lee from Land O'Lakes, Florida. John from Cincinnati. That's John P. John W. from Brown County. Robert is in northeastern Brown County. You got to separate those two, baby. Sam is on from down to the Orlando area, Winter Garden. Yep, Winter Garden, Florida. Kevin from Jeffersonville. Bill up in the UP. Man, got you guys on from all over. Appreciate you. How about Las Vegas? What's up, Mr. Larry? Michael, the Music Man. Don't forget, Lazan is on from Amman, Jordan. Holy cow. 5 lefts. We got everybody on here, man. It's on. Jordan. My goodness. Edward from Hollywood, Florida.
Bam.
John, Southport. My gosh. This list continues to grow, and I love it. I love you guys. Sam asking me, am I using Parmesan or Parmigiano Reggiano? Well, that's a great question, Sam, and I'll have to go down and pull it back up. The one I've been using is a 5-cheese blend of a Parmesan type. You know, it's same kind of container, same deal, but it's a 5-cheese blend that it happened to be there.
So you don't go buy the block of cheese. You don't shred your own Parmesan.
Oh, well, are you out of your mind, man? That would take
It don't take that long.
Come on, man. I'm not. This is not Guy. I'm not Guy Fieri.
Guy Fieri.
If I took my hat off, it would probably look like it.
I grade my own Parmesan and other cheeses. I don't put it on bacon.
Pointing out that the nets were cut down in Bloomington back in 1981. Wow, how about that?
Okay.
The men's team also cut them down after a loss a few years ago when Tom Crean was still the head coach.
I'm pretty sure I knew that too. Yes.
Oh, that's right.
Yes.
Wait a minute. It was after a loss?
Yes,
because on the road they had secured a share of the Big Ten title the game before, and then they came home and cut the Nets down after a loss to Ohio State, which was also senior night, I believe.
Yes, it was.
Which will always be weird. You want to talk about weird, baby? You bring up Tom Crean. He's got some weird stuff that he did, but but how about the scene yesterday? That's right, 5 lefts. Let's talk about that. The scene in Assembly in Simon Scott Assembly Hall was nuts. Now, the announced crowd of 17,222, the sellout, that wasn't the quite attendance. It was probably more around 15. The balconies weren't full. It was an amazing environment. I sent out a picture that was a panoramic view, unbelievable. To be able to get that many people come out, I mean, I'm wondering where they're all coming from. Are they all still from? I'd love to know how far people were driving for that.
Right.
Fran got tossed yesterday. FranCom. I still hate the FranCom numbers. They're wrong. They're reversed.
They're not the reverse.
They're wrong. FranCon 1 should not be the highest. FranCon
yes, it is.
1 should be the lowest. It's a low number.
But it's factually accurate because DEFCON 1 is the most extreme. We just say it wrong.
That's because they screwed it up. It's the government.
Well, okay, we can agree on that part. We can agree that they messed it up to start with.
No doubt about that. Let's see. Robert says he's going to ask this because he got roasted on a forum. Do the key players on this IU team look tired? He thinks they do. No. You practice every day. What's the difference if you play 30 minutes in a freaking game? When Mike Woodson says these guys are 19, 20 years old, they're 19 and 20 years old. I remember being that way, and I remember doing some stupid stuff, man. I could go. You have energy. You don't have. They're trained for this. They don't have body fat. They're lean. They're fed all the right foods. They train all the right ways. They get all the training tools that they need. They use practice in a way that does not add to this. So, no. They're not tired, in my opinion. No, they're not tired. I don't want to, that is hogwash to me, that they're tired. No. Because guess what? After the game, they go rest. And unless you're hurt, you recover. They're not going to go kill them in practice the next day. That doesn't happen. You let the body recover. They know what the science is when it comes to bodies now and muscle. What's the word I'm looking for, Dustin?
Muscle mass,
muscle recovery.
All right.
They know all the science about that stuff now. So all that is integrated in, and they use that, and they do all the things that are necessary. Now, the only way you could get tired is mentally, but you know what? That's the difference between winning and losing right there. Toughing it out.
Well,
the tough get tougher. But guess what? You're not playing a schedule that is different than anybody else. So you're playing the same schedule. Maybe you're playing a few more minutes. Okay, he's playing 37 minutes a game. What if he was playing 30 minutes a game? Really? Is that going to make that much difference? No, it does not. Not over the course of weeks. So, in my personal opinion, no, this tired stuff is just another mantra for someone to get on and ride. No excuses. No excuses. You just. I don't like seeing people start landing on the excuse side of anything. Get off. Don't get on the excuse train. Stay away from it. Stay high. As far as on your team, on what you see, and those are my words.
But I don't know that it would be necessarily an excuse. Like so. This is an interesting question to me because I don't know if they're tired or not. They're still human beings, so I still think that they can get tired. And when
after a game, but they recover.
Well, I know, but they've had to put in a lot of effort to get back to where they needed to be this season in these last 10 games.
No, dude, they're not doing anything anybody else is not doing.
Well, I get that. Some of the guys have to play a few more minutes. I mean, I think this comes down to Trace Jackson Davis to me.
Yes,
but
it's all about him playing a few more minutes.
Here's the thing. Here's the thing, though, that I would say. Let's say that they are playing tired. Let's say that they're exhausted, whatever words you want to throw in there. To your point that you mentioned earlier, Jim, if you want to say that you got to find a way to get over it mentally, haven't they done that? Didn't they do that on Saturday? Like, it doesn't matter how it looks. if you get a win, it doesn't matter if you win by 1 point or you win by 41 points. A win is a win is a win is a win. Now, we dissect that and we break it down because that's what we do. But those players, those coaches, the standings, doesn't differentiate how the wins look. So, I don't know if they're tired or not. There are times in a game when it looks like, yes, they are exhausted, like they are wearing down. But they've had the mental fortitude to push through. And I think that takes experience. That takes guys who are disciplined.
And that takes, you can't be too tired if you're able to do that.
Well, that's a good point, to be able to push through that. So I think, I don't know whether they're tired or not, and maybe we find some things out here down this stretch in the Big Ten tournament, NCAA tournament, whatever the case might be. I don't know. But I would say that Indiana's mental toughness is leaps and bounds ahead of where it was 2 months ago. I mean, this team to win 8 of 10, those 2 losses on the road, one on a last second shot, the other against a Maryland team that has not lost at home in the Big Ten. I mean, this team is... We talked about their toughness earlier this season, so we got to give credit where it's due. This team is tough as nails because even when they're not playing well, they've found ways to win basketball games, and that's all that matters. That's why they're playing like one of the best teams in the country right now.
Well, Northwestern, okay, they're
they are.
How about Northwestern basketball? Not only exactly, they have beaten in succession Purdue, Indiana, Iowa.
Yep.
I wonder how many minutes of those games Boo Buie played and Chase Audige played.
That's a good question.
Because I promise you, he's in there for most of the game.
Yep.
And,
great point.
Are they tired all of a sudden? No, they're winning and they're loving it.
They are hot. And they had to make up some games from the COVID break that they had to take.
Now, Northwestern's had a great run of home games. Surely to God they have to play on the road.
They do.
At some point.
The problem is some of that got mixed up because they had COVID, some sort of COVID break or what. I don't know if it was 2 games or however many it was, but so they had to rearrange. So it wasn't like the Big Ten gave them whatever it is, 4 straight home games.
Okay, well here's Northwestern's remaining 4 games. At Illinois, at Maryland, home against Penn State, at Rutgers.
Yeah. They're not going to win all those games.
No, not only are they not going to win all those games, every one of those teams, the road teams, need wins.
Yeah.
Rutgers is they've fallen, so they need that win.
Penn State.
Maryland is in, but they don't lose at home.
Right, yeah.
Hint, they don't lose at home. So there's a loss. Illinois, they kind of need a win.
Illinois is going to hang it by a thread, yeah.
I could see Northwestern losing back-to-back games.
Oh, easily, yeah. When they got to go on the road, it's going to be much different. Much different.
But anyway, I was trying to get the stats pulled up, then we'll talk more about it later. We've got to take a break. Don Fisher's going to join us, so we got to get out of here. We'll be back with more Indiana Sports Beat Radio, brought to you by our good friends from BB's Market, part of the Endeavor Hospitality Wow Club. You can find us there each and every Friday. BB's Market, your butcher, your baker, no matter where you live. Man, the best of in-house made products. The meats are incredible. You got a full-size bakery in there. It's awesome. And the meats, it's not Arby's, baby. BB's has the meats.
There you go.
Oh, and they're awesome. Jim Coyle back with more Dustin Schutte, as we'll be joined by the great one, Don Fisher, right after this.
We'll be right back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Endeavor Hospitality Group and Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
All right, so Northwestern at a glance.
At a glance.
Please. Oh, okay, here we go. This is average on the entire freaking season, not just the last few games. Boo Buie's playing 35 minutes a game, boys.
Wow. Wow.
Baba Booey.
Chase
Baba Booey.
Baba Booey. Chase Adige is playing 34 minutes a game on the season.
Are these guys seniors? How much longer do these guys have in Northwestern?
Well, I don't know. But that's not the point.
I can't keep track anymore because of the COVID stuff.
I know. I'm ready for all the players that have COVID, the COVID year to be gone so it can be normal again.
Yeah.
I know for Indiana, it's the class with like Trey Galloway and them. It's those kids.
Well, I mean, it's everybody.
I know. That's I try to keep track of it from the Indiana standpoint. Everybody younger than them is on a regular schedule.
It amazes me that Trace Jackson Davis has another year of eligibility that he wants. You know, Caitlin Clark, speaking of that, she'll be back next year.
Are you serious?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
She's a junior.
Does Indiana have any of their superstars eligible for another year, or are they all going to be gone?
What are you talking about? On which side?
The women's basketball.
Their team is back with the exception of Grace Berger.
Well, I thought Mackenzie Holmes was going to be gone.
Nope, she's back.
Morning, Don.
Morning.
How are you doing, sir?
I'm doing all right, boys.
Did you play golf yesterday?
No.
Man.
Too much work to do, man.
I hear you. I drove by Bloomington Country Club, and I was so mad because they were in the back. They were in the back of the vehicle, but I'm like, damn it, I got to go home. But I drove I'm right by the entrance, and people are out there, and I'm so mad.
It's just, there's no way to golf at this time of year is impossible just because of the work involved and preparation for games and stuff like that. And then, of course, I didn't get my stats. My stats weren't updated from JD and Charlie, and I had to call them and have them send me the stats. I didn't get them until like 4:30 in the afternoon. It's ticking me off. I had everything done for Michigan State, and I didn't have anything from IU. So I had to call them and absolutely get them to send me the updated stats, which was a bit of a problem.
Yeah, that changes things.
So anyway,
here we go, guys.
5-star comfort food with a Southern charm at 2-star prices. Southern Stone Restaurant is part of Endeavor Hospitality's Wow Club.
This segment is brought to you by Southern Stone Restaurant. Now back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Endeavor Hospitality Group and Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Welcome back, Indiana Sports Beat Radio here on this Monday. I hope you're having a good one, ready to start your week off. If not, we're going to do it for you. We've got the voice of the Hoosiers, Don Fischer, brought to you by our good friends from Southern Stone Restaurant, where you can find him tonight at 7:05. Is there a show tonight? No show tonight. See, I remember tonight. I remembered. I can't believe it. Normally, you can find him at 7:05 at Southern Stone Restaurant, which Coach Mike Whitson for Inside Indiana Basketball. No show tonight. They'll be back next week to do that. Don, welcome aboard. How are you, sir? How was your weekend?
It was busy and it was good. I mean, obviously, Indiana winning over Illinois was really, really, really good. Since Illinois is my home state in the sense that I haven't lived there for 50 some years, but nevertheless, that's where I came from. I was an Illinois fan growing up. Not a giant Illinois fan because I really didn't care about college basketball and football all that much. When you were growing up in your teenage years, there are so many other things to do. So, so at any rate, but I did follow Illinois pretty much, and so anytime we beat them, it's really exciting for me because they cheated back in the day, and I didn't like cheaters. I'm talking about the Mike White era and the slush fund that they had back in the 60s with Harry Combs, who was the basketball coach. I know all about that stuff. I didn't forget it, Illinois. Trust me, I know all about you people.
And that's straight up cheating, people. So we're not talking about a nickel and diamond stuff. Before you came on, Don, we were having a conversation about tired. Someone, a lot of people said, "Oh, I think this IU men's team looks tired." This, that, and I'm like, baloney, BS, horse crap. I'm on the Mike Woodson camp. These guys got energy to spend. Now, I'm not saying you can't get tired or mentally you can't get tired, but I think about Northwestern. They've been on this run. They've got all these games. So I pulled up the numbers. Boo Booey and Chase Hadis, they're both playing 35 minutes a game. You're going to have that for certain teams. The stars are just going to have to play more, and they have to deal with it, man. You can rest after the season, like Mike Woodson says. I think that I don't believe in that being tired thing right now for these guys. I think that they're fine. They may be stressed in certain ways because the season starts to compact and what it means and what you're trying to do, where you're trying to get to, that starts to come into focus in a lot more. But I physically, I think they're fine.
Well, I mean, I think you're right about that in some respects, but here's what you got to know. Bob Knight, when he was coaching Indiana, always started in late January, early February of not practicing as many minutes. They just didn't practice as many minutes. They started cutting back on practice time. I don't know if Mike's doing that. He indicated to me, and I think on our last talk show, that he really hasn't cut back on practice time at all, that they're still practicing their 2 hours a day, whatever it may be. Although I will say this, a lot of what Mike does is very technically oriented in the sense of teaching these guys, I want you to be here, not over here. I want you to be there, not there. So they stand around a lot in practices in the sense that they're not just going at it, bang, 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 bang. They're practicing, but they're learning what he wants them to do. Therefore, even though the practices may still have, it might be still a full 2 hours, it's not as, they're not banging and they're not running up and down the court the entire time. So I think I will tell you one thing. Back in the 2013 season, that team was dead tired at the end of the year. That was when Tom Crean coached them. That was Cody Zeller, Victor Oladipo, Jordan Halls, Christian Watford, all those guys. That team was dead tired in the postseason. They almost got beat by Temple, and it looked like they were wore out in that ball game. And then they went up against Syracuse, and they didn't play very well at all. That team was tired, and I've talked to a couple of players on that team, and they were tired. So I do think that comes into play. It depends on how they handle things during the season and whether or not they're going at it full bore all the time. So I think you have to play that by ear if you're a coach, and you can see whether your team. But I don't think this team's wore out. I really don't.
Well, and to that point, Don, we talked about, I don't know whether they're tired or not. I'm not there. I don't see them. I don't talk to them. So I have no idea. But if there's a level of tiredness coming in, this is still a team that has won 8 out of its last 10 games. They had a chance, they're a buzzer beater away from winning 9 of those 10 against Northwestern. Sure. We talked about early in this season, this team didn't maybe have the same level of toughness that we'd like to see. That has completely flipped. I mean, they are leaps and bounds above where they were 2 months ago. So from a mentality standpoint, I don't know if I've seen this sort of growth from an individual team, because they are finding ways to win. Against Michigan, they had to do it defensively. Against Illinois, you look down some of the stats, they had more turnovers than Illinois. They shot fewer free throws. They had one less three-pointer in that game. They are finding ways to win. And you go back to whatever it was, the players only meeting, Mike Woodson challenging this team. This team has a completely different mentality than they had in December.
Dustin, I can't agree more. I've said this to whoever would listen. I think the most improvement on this basketball team is their ability to finish games this year.
Yeah.
Look at last season, the number of games they were right in at the end and couldn't get it done. And this year, most of the time they're getting it done. And they probably should have gotten it done against Northwestern if they hadn't dug that 19-point hole at halftime. Yeah. They would have won that ball game. But they are finding ways to finish. And that has been, as Tom Allen used to say, we got to finish, and had that as a theme one year, that kind of thing. Well, this team has figured it out. They have found ways to finish, and they got guys making a lot of different guys making a lot of big plays in games like this. Yep. Miller Kopp had a couple of really, even though he scored points, he had a couple of really good defensive plays, a deflection in this ball game that were critical down at the end. We're seeing other guys step up. Malik Renew has played some of his best basketball here of late. And we're not getting as much out of Jordan Geronimo as I would like right now, but he could step up. Tamar Bates is having up and down ball games at this point, but somebody is always stepping up. Somebody on this team is doing his thing. And Jalen Hood-Schifino is playing terrific in many respects and still making a lot of mistakes. Freshman mistakes at this point with his passing at times and dribbling the ball off his foot, which, it's going to happen. These are freshmen. They're going to make mistakes. So all of these things come into play. You might have a mistake made that cost you the ball game. I mean, and in truth, there are – you look at the Northwestern game, you can talk about 2 or 3 plays that were very costly toward the end of that contest. So it all boils down to this. If you're well coached and you have the right mentality, you got a chance. And I think with this team, they've got both those things going for them.
Yeah, Jalen Hood-Schifino, you mentioned him. I love the fact that here's a guy that he's been thrust into a position that he didn't no one expected to completely be in charge of the offense, which he has done a pretty damn good job of stepping into that. He's had trouble shooting the ball. Last game he goes 5 of 17, but still scores 13 points. He's 2 of 2 at the free throw line. He pulls down 7 rebounds. He has 5 turnovers, but he has the ball in his hands all the time. And so the freshman, the little bit of freshman mistakes that he is making, he's probably being asked to do this in he's being played twice as much as, or the ball is in his hands twice as much. So he's having way more pressure than I think a lot of people expected he would have. And I don't mean mentally, I just mean in the games. I mean, he's the focus. So I think he's done a hell of a job stepping up into that and continuing to contribute. 13 points in that last game, one of 4 players in double figures. So he's still contributing, and he's not letting any down part of something that happens bring him down. He stays up and continues to contribute. One of the reasons this team continues to move upwards.
Yeah, I mean, Jalen Hood-Schifino has been tremendous for this ball club. There's no question about it, especially with X being out for basically the entire Big Ten season at this point. X played 2 games against Big Ten opponents in December and hadn't played a game since then. And there's going to be a point where he comes back here, we think, in the next couple of weeks, and he'll be put back in that lineup, whether it's as a starter or coming off the bench. We'll have to wait and see on that. But the fact that X will come back, in my opinion, if you look at the Northwestern game, one of the reasons Indiana didn't win that game was because of X not being there. X is a guy that's so quick, tough, athletic at the defensive end of the floor. If he does nothing at the offensive end, he would have been a major factor against Boo Buie, and he just wasn't there. So I can't wait till he gets back, because I think the Maryland game was another one where Young went nuts against us because he was quicker and really a tough guy to stop inside, and who would have been better at stopping him than Xavier Johnson. So I can't wait to get him back on the floor to help this basketball team. And I know that it could disrupt things a little bit as far as who's playing and playing time and all that kind of things. But I just think it helps this team. It doesn't hurt this team. By far, it's going to be the most important find for this ball club to get him back, because he can do things that other guys in this team can't.
Don, something that to me is, and people may find this to be funny that I'm going to say this, but I think the difference maker for this team down the stretch in winning the Big Ten tournament, making a deep run into the NCAA tournament, is going to be Miller Kopp. We know what he can do. The last game, he scores 12 points, 4 of 6 shooting, 4 of 5 behind the arc. He was hunting shots. I mean, Lee, he was looking for that 3-point shot. The first one he took was 4 feet behind the stripe, I think. It's the longest 3-point attempt I've seen him make or even attempt. There was another attempt he had where he faked once, he had to move it faked again, and I think faked 3 times before he actually still ended up shooting the ball and hit it. Something that he just has not done. I don't know if it's his confidence or what, but having Miller Kopp and to be able to do that, to actually look for and hit his shot, is a difference maker for this team.
Well, the question is, how often will he do that? Because
and that's my point of getting him to consistently do that.
Well, against Northwestern, he shot 6 times and made 1.
Right.
So if you look at Miller and how he produces, he'll have a good game or maybe a decent game and then a really good game, and then he'll have no game. From a production standpoint is all I'm saying. He plays hard the defensive end all the time. He makes plays with his hands occasionally, deflections, those kinds of things. I give him credit for all that kind of stuff. He doesn't rebound much at all. He really doesn't do much in that area. And when he is not shooting the basketball, what happens? So we probably don't play as well. It's that simple. But I agree. I think he can be a factor. But there are other guys in this team that can be as well. Trey Galloway is not shooting as much as I think he should shoot either. I tell him to shoot every time, and I see him. I mean,
both of those guys, they're like one and the same. They both should be looking for their shots because they're both good shooters.
Right, exactly. But look, I mean, Mike Woodson has his game plan. He knows what he wants from these guys. I can't argue with what we've seen so far this year. We've seen a ball club that has stepped up. There are different guys that show up every ball game and produce. Are we getting everything we'd like to see out of some of these guys? Probably not, but then there might be reasons behind that. I'm not a coach, and I'm not there for practices most of the time. I can't tell you what is emphasized. And what's emphasized is usually what you see these kids doing. So if they weren't doing it, they'd be sitting on the bench.
Right. And one of those things, we can talk about whether guys should shoot more or what they're getting from a production standpoint, but I think, and this probably goes back to the mentality point, but I keep harping on this because it's one of the more impressive things I've seen. But to me, even if some of these guys have a bad night or aren't productive, that the fact that they step up and it's like they're ready to go, like, hey, this is going to be your night. You got to take advantage. You see that from different guys throughout this last, 10 or 15 games where guys are stepping up into that role. And I go back to what Mike Woodson said in the summer, like, if I call your number, you better be ready to go because you might get, if I give you 10 minutes and you don't give me anything, you may not get called next time.
Yeah.
So whether I'm going to call you for 2 minutes, 10 minutes, 32 minutes, you better be ready to go. And I feel like now we're starting to see these guys accept that. So maybe they're not the most productive, but I feel like these guys, when their number's called, I don't feel like they're just out there going through the motions like I was 2 months ago.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, they're getting more out of each guy that gets on the floor. And you can see whose minutes are getting diminished. You can see whose guys that are getting more minutes. And it's all based on their production or what they do when they come into the ball game. And Mike has said that all along. These guys, I think, now believe that. Therefore, I think the effort is there each time one of them comes out on the court. Now, because you get into foul trouble or something like that, that can diminish the opportunity. But at the same time, they're trying. They're trying to do what their coaches are asking them to do, which is a big, big factor for any team.
Michigan State, Don, is splitting 8th, 9th with Illinois right now. This is a game they desperately need. The team Indiana travels to play tomorrow night at 9 o'clock and up in East Lansing. Michigan State, as I look at the standings, they're the last team that I see from the Big Ten that can make it into the NCAA tournament, but they need this win. They're 8-7 in conference right now. Obviously, a loss would put them at 500. They're also just 16-10. That would put them at 16-11. That would get them started getting dangerously close. Man, they desperately need. They can't afford to lose many more games.
No, they can't. And I'm sure that they're feeling that scenario now, especially after losing to Michigan at Michigan over the weekend, plus dealing with the senseless tragedy that took place last week on their campus. My gut feeling is that Tom Izzo will have these guys primed for this matchup because there is little question. They're fighting for their tournament lives at this point. When's the last time Michigan State didn't make the NCAA tournament? This is a program that lives on that, and that's what their players always are looking forward to. So, honestly, I think this is going to be a real tough ball game for Indiana. I think Indiana has to have the right mindset going into it, and they better not be if they come out slow like they did against Northwestern. They will have no chance in this game because Michigan State gets it going. Their crowd just gets nuts, and it's one of the toughest places to play in the country, not just the Big Ten.
Oh, it's a great arena, a great environment. Underranked, underrated, really. Very underrated. Let's see, no show tonight at Southern Stone. You're back next week, correct?
I will be back next week with Mike Woodson at Southern Stone for the next to the last show of the year.
Oh, it is. So next week is the last show?
No, next to the last, I said.
Oh, okay. So we got two more shows.
Yep,
so
2 more.
Taking the week off. Enjoy the week off, people. As that's right. The team is traveling as they were heading to East Lansing. So make sure you catch Don on the broadcast tomorrow night as Indiana takes on the Sparty. Don, can't thank you enough, brother. Enjoy your day.
Thanks. You too, guys. See ya.
Appreciate you. The great Don Fischer, the voice of the Hoosiers, joining us here on Indiana Sports Beat Radio. Brought to you by Southern Stone Restaurant, a part of the Endeavor Hospitality Wild Club of great restaurants. Hey, we're back with Dustin Dopirak from the Indy Star after this.
We'll be right back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Endeavor Hospitality Group and Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Golfers, here's the deal.
Good morning.
I like that. Good morning, sir. Took a boo-booey.
I took a poop.
I've got to stop being lazy and get credentialed for a Pacer game to come up there because I've been carrying a box around for you for like 3 weeks. I've got one for Kristen already too, but I'm like, damn. Every time I'm like, okay, well, that game will work. And then it's like the day before, I'm like, I'm not requesting credentials the day before a game.
Yeah, it's not easy to get. It's just not easy to make the trip.
Well, it's like the schedule. It's like, damn it, what's going on? Who's playing what? Well, plus you got the IU women. You got to throw into that, and
the women being really good obviously throws a wrench in because it's like that's 4 games a week instead of 2 games a week you gotta care about.
Turns it back into a 7-day work week again.
Yeah, but I mean, they're really good. I just made a point of watching that game yesterday. My God, are they good?
Can you imagine if they are good enough to beat South Carolina and they win the whole damn thing? I mean,
that'd be wild.
I hate the fact that they lost that damn game to Michigan State.
Yeah, if they were undefeated, that'd be really cool.
Can you imagine the thought of the Indiana women putting up an undefeated banner like the men? I mean, I know that's kind of pie in the sky, but it's not like they're ranked 20th here. They're
they're close. They'd be 1 loss away. I mean, as John points out, South Carolina's pretty good.
I don't know that
they're not bad.
That's the thing is, Indiana fans have not, unless they've watched South Carolina play, they don't know. They think Indiana's the top, which Indiana's really good, but South Carolina's got some good players too.
Yeah, I mean, Elia Boston's number one. Like she's been the runaway number one pick for like months, right? I mean, like this season.
But that's also like Zach Edey. People got him on the brain, and man, he just
in
was
women's
like a worm.
basketball. Though it almost seems like it's a given. If you have the best player in women's basketball, you're going to win the national title.
You got a really good shot at it. I mean, there's less. There is more. There is more parity every year. I think you got to acknowledge that. I mean, like, not long ago we were talking about a world where it was UConn and Tennessee, and after that,
yes, there was
it.
There was nothing.
No one else could honestly compete. If you put anybody else on the floor other than Tennessee with UConn, well, they were going to get beat by 40.
There was a stretch when Purdue and Notre Dame were really good. Ruth
there
Riley.
There was. Yeah, I mean, there's been great, but like there were stretches.
Stop by Feast Market and Cellar today.
This segment is brought to you by Remax Advanced Realty, Indie Home Pros team by Cheryl Sizemore. Now back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Endeavor Hospitality Group and Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Hey, welcome back. Indiana Sports Beat Radio on this Monday, brought to you by our good friends from Remax Realty in Indianapolis. If you're in the market for a home there, you need Cheryl Sizemore, and her 2 decades of experience could be the difference between you getting the home you want or not. Reach out to her, Cheryl at IndyHomePros.com. Please welcome Dustin Dopirak from the Indy Star. How are you, sir?
Doing well. How about you, fellas?
Cannot complain, man. It's been the weather's been decent. I didn't really get to enjoy it yesterday. It seemed nice, but I was in a gym, but I saw it on the way home and got to wave at it through the window. But heck, what is the date? I don't even know the date. I know we're getting up there 20th. Man, we're 9 days from March. That's all I care about. I can say it's March. It may still be cold in the morning or whatever, but it'll be March. You can say it's March. That means warmer weather's coming. That means the college basketball pinnacle, which is bittersweet, but there's so much that March brings. So looking forward to it, baby. How's everything going with you?
Good. I mean, they got some time to not do a whole heck of a lot. Didn't go to Utah this weekend, so had to keep my eye on everything going on there with the Pacers. Obviously, they had a lot of representation for a team that's falling towards the bottom of the Eastern Conference standings.
How about Tyrese Halliburton, man?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Tyrese. For some reason, they only let him play like 13 minutes. Kind of held.
So he went off. So he decided to go off, didn't he?
He had 3 threes in a row. I mean, no one for a game in which no one has played defense in many, many years. I mean, they truly took not playing defense and made it an art form last night. Just not even the beginnings of an attempt. But he knocked down some wide open threes. That's what you get in the NBA. So he had a couple of those. And he was 7-9 from the field, took his limited minutes and did something. And, he and Buddy Hield both got to the finals of the 3-point contest on Saturday. So that was pretty impressive. Ben Mathurin had a nice night in Rising Stars on Friday. So all in all, pretty good weekend for the Pacers, sort of across the board. Everybody showed up and did something, I guess is the thing. Nobody went there just for no reason. Again, Halliburton didn't get a lot of minutes in the All-Star game, but did something. Great performance in 3 points. So they could, as a group, feel pretty proud of themselves for how their weekend went.
I'm a big NBA fan, and I'm not going to diminish your job.
Thanks.
There is nothing. There is nothing that interests me less than the NBA All-Star break. Like it is. I understand
even flag football.
The pro. Yeah, I mean they're all outside of. I don't know what the NHL does, but outside of the MLB, and even that, it's just these games are so. Can we just name the All-Stars and give these guys a week-long break? I know it brings in a ton of money. Yeah. Or I'm sure it does. I don't know for sure, but I'm sure it brings in a ton of money. That's why they do it.
The answer is not now because it's coming to Indiana next year. So no, We can absolutely use the revenue. We can use
Went to the NBA All-Star game and a concert.
Bring that up after next year. Do not bring this up. Like anyone who's talking about getting rid of the All-Star game, shut your mouths for at least 1 year. I don't care what happens after that. I mean, I want to see it here. I mean, come on, that's going to be fun. Like I think
they should just do have all the skills competition during a rap battle. Have a rap battle going on while the skills sessions are happening.
Stop. You're going to make these guys
wait.
Like, first off, they have all kinds of friends who are good at rap. That doesn't mean they are. So don't.
No, not them. No, they're not doing. I don't want them doing rap. They're doing the skills competition
out there doing it in the middle.
Yes.
But yeah.
Yes. Exactly.
A lot of these guys probably think they're actually good at it, and that doesn't mean that they are. Although Vic has an album out, by the way, if you haven't checked.
Well, Victor's got a great voice.
He does.
He's a great singer voice. Yes. Yeah, without question.
But anyway,
much like myself.
Vic is particularly individually skilled. There's probably a lot of these guys that think they're really good at it that are not, and so we don't need to give them ideas. But no, I mean, the thing is, you can't not play the game. Like
you could.
I think the Pro Bowl found that out. For as much as like, if you could get rid of any game, it would be the Pro Bowl because it's football, and ultimately we're trying to get away from putting these guys in a position where they're hurting themselves because they do that enough already. So I'm okay with the idea of, doing what they do with the Pro Bowl and the skills competition and all that kind of stuff. But they're going to have the game. If they're going to have the event for basketball, they're going to have the game. You're not going to not play. I mean, like, no one's going to get hurt. And it's like, all right, like if you're going to bring everybody out there, they got to do something. So they might as well dunk and shoot 50-foot threes and whatever. If you're going to at least, if they're all going to show up, what's the point?
I agree. If they're going to have something, they have to play the game. I'm saying don't do any of it.
Again, you can bite your tongue for 1 year.
All right, I'll keep for 365 days. I'll support the All-Star game until it's out of Indiana.
February 18th, and for 4 days after, you have to keep your mouth shut.
And then I'm going
to. At that point, I don't care what you do.
And then I'm going to show up outside the office of cartoon villain Adam Silver, and then I'm going to petition to end. Does it?
Oh my God,
okay, come on.
I feel so sorry for him.
Why?
I don't feel sorry for him. That's
why do you feel sorry for him?
No,
he does look like a cartoon villain, does he not? I mean,
looks like a cartoon character. Period. More like any human I've ever seen. I just feel bad for him. But who cares?
Getting involved. That's others do. I don't feel bad for him because you make a lot of money being the NBA commissioner. It does a pretty good job at the end of the day.
Before I talk about some college basketball, I do want to ask Valley Sports, what's going on with them, man? They've got some issues going on, and of course, that's who carries the Pacer games on TV. Well, our friend Chris Denari is on with us each Thursday, and that's probably who he works for. I'm assuming. So that's a serious, and I'm assuming this is all fallout from this 2 to 3 year battle that they've been waging with of getting the money.
Yes. What it really is, so I had to write a story on this when I was really just going off of Bloomberg reporting, and so I called all the principals and they were all like, yeah, we can't tell you anything.
Wow.
And between the Pacers sort of TV contact.
I mean, this is a major story.
Oh, yeah, no, it's a gigantic story. And obviously it's not just the Pacers at all. Like, don't think that it's got, this is a nationwide deal. So what happened was this group is called Diamond Sports Group. It comes off of Sinclair Broadcasting. And I have thoughts on Sinclair Broadcasting that I will spare everyone. But point of the matter, they decided, so Disney bought Fox. 21st Century Fox, and I'm not sure what all Fox versus Fox Corp and News Corp and what all is sort of in that, but they bought 21st Century Fox. And when they bought 21st Century Fox, like, this is one of the things they spun off was those regional sports networks, basically. So Disney, for whatever reason, Disney had to sell them. Like it couldn't go through because I think they were competitors, technically competitive or conflictual with ESPN and that sort of thing. or it would have been like monopolizing sort of situation. Basically, it just could not go through. They had to sell. They had to sell these regional sports networks. They used to be Fox Sports, whatever. So Diamond Sports Group gets formed by Sinclair, and they buy it. And so, but the issue is that there is a whole bunch of the streaming services aren't carrying them. The only streaming service that carries them is DirecTV streaming, which fortunately I have. And I've been able to, record Pacers games. Even though I'm going to them, it's nice to have them on your computer recorded so that, like, when you're writing off a game and you want to remember exactly what happened, you can go replay it the whole time. So that's what I do. So that's been really, really fortunate for me. I got really lucky that that's what I'm on. But everything else doesn't pick it up. Hulu, all the other streaming services, they won't do it. And then the issue is that you've had a lot of, cord cutting over really the last 15 years of people just getting off of cable. So more and more people are doing streaming versus cable. So it's been more of an issue. And so when most of these streaming services are not keeping it, you're ultimately just not getting in that many rooms. So they're not making nearly the money off of it. And they're about to, I think they just skipped a payment. They skipped an interest payment. And if you have a mortgage or have anything on which you have to make a payment, you know what happens then. They are staring down the barrel of Chapter 11. As I understand it, there might have to be a reorganization. And, so I was reading like all the possibilities, and this is where it gets into sort of business financial thing that's sort of above my head pay grade and whatnot. I mean, I usually think if you just miss your payment, you're just screwed. Like, you're done. But apparently, if you're a mega corporation, you can do this and float it for a while. They've got a 30-day grace period. And when you're a gigantic corporation, when you're in a grace period scenario, that's not a good place to be. Presumably there's not enough time left in the season for this to fall apart before it's over. I'm guessing they're at least going to play the year out. But they're going to be in a bad spot. Now, the issue is not the issue. It's the good thing, I guess, if you're a Pacers fan or if you're an anything fan, because there's probably, 30, 40 other teams between baseball, basketball, and hockey that are in the same boat, is it's really important to the leagues that these broadcasts continue, like vitally important. And so there's talk about the leagues just taking it over themselves. But this is going to...
Why would they not? I was going to say it's such a revenue stream.
It's expensive, and it's just a question of where you're making that money back. But they would be willing, I think, to float it for a year. It's just very important. It's bigger in baseball. It's a major deal in baseball. I mean, a lot of your revenue, a lot of that, whatever you end up paying people comes from your regional sports contract. Big reason why, for instance, the Pirates are in bad shape is they under-negotiated their deal. Basically, they had about a 3-year period. When they were going to the playoffs, they were doing buka, just really good ratings locally. I could say that everybody was watching Pirate games in Pittsburgh for 3 years because they'd been trash for 20. But they negotiated that deal when it was about 2010, when they were terrible and nobody was watching them. So, they weren't pulling in the money. You negotiate these deals years out. But the Yankees get a monstrous amount of money from Yes Network, just a huge, gigantic amount of money. And that, and so they do huge ratings out there, and that's a big part of their bottom line. And so it's going to be a major restructuring of regional, television. That's become sort of the vital base of, how sports works. How televising sports work is you have this, these regional networks kind of underlying everything for the major sports that don't play it, that play every day or play close to every day. Where football is obviously a whole different animal, and even college ball, most of this is picked up by networks that you would consider, national or whatever you call the Big Ten network. This is what pro sports is based on, is these regional networks, and making sure that's how everybody gets to see their team every night. So how are you making that work? That's a big question as to how this thing is going to go and how they're going to structure this. But baseball, the NBA, Major League Baseball, and the NHL have a vital interest in making sure this continues.
Dustin,
we got to take a break.
Yes, we do. Good call. Hey, for those of you down in the Louisville, Southern Indiana area looking for a home, you need Barbara Pop Real Estate Services. They have served those communities for 3 decades, and no one can get you in the home with less trouble, faster, and less expensive than Barbara Pop. Reach out to Barbara at barbarapop.com or our friend Matt Lincoln, Matt at barbarapop.com. Dustin Dopirak with Indy Stars with us. We got more coming up here on Indiana Sports Beat Radio. Back with it right after this.
We'll be right back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Endeavor Hospitality Group and Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Andy Moore Honda. Holy moly. Man, you want to talk about travel. At least the NCAA finals are both in Texas, in Dallas and Houston. So that helps.
That is
Wait, what?
The NCAA Final Four are in Dallas and Houston.
Oh, the men's and women's.
Yeah.
Gotcha. I did not know that.
So
That's a good
kind
idea.
of a
That is a good idea.
Very. I mean, he is, yes, especially for even like with IU. I expect IU women to make the Final Four. They're going to be a number 1 seed.
Yeah.
It would take an upset for them to not make it.
Be prepared for it.
You have to be. You have to be prepared.
You don't know what kind of draw they're going to get, and they can get a tough out.
And anything could happen, but yeah. And then might as well go to the men's Final Four regardless.
Dallas and Houston aren't that close.
No, it's
you have to realize how big Texas actually is.
Trust me, bro. I drove. I was at a rodeo in El Paso once, and we drove 10 hours
to Dallas,
and that was halfway across the state.
Yeah,
yeah, that was halfway across the state.
It's totally nuts. But I mean, obviously, it is the Dallas and Houston are at least both on the east side of the state, but it is.
Yeah, what are they, like 4 hours apart? Or is it more than that?
3.5.
3.5.
Oh,
that's not too bad.
Nah.
I mean,
you guys were talking like it's the other end of the country.
Right. I'm saying
in Texas, that's down the road.
Bigger point.
That's
more
true.
To the point. If Indiana is in the women's Final Four, you don't have time off, like to just go to Dallas.
Oh no, no.
They are going to be. It is going to be packed. There is going to be media on top of media on top of media on top of practice on top of everything, and it's going to be a big deal. Like it's just going to be a huge deal for IU. Like y'all are going to be packed, with stuff. So, which is going to be really cool because it's going to be, it'll be like from a just drawing point scenario, like Indiana was in Omaha in 2013, where it was just like, wow, they're here, like you got to cover the living daylights out of this because you don't know when it's coming back. So, but I mean,
that's a good point. Yeah.
Like you got to live that, like you got to hit that one as hard as you can hit it because, like that, there's not gonna be a lot of free time there. That is a work trip.
All right, here we go. 20 seconds, guys.
Deliver them to your doorstep once a week. That's right. It's the fastest, simplest, and easiest way to avoid decision fatigue. You pick your plan and pick up at BB's Market with no extra charge. So leave the heavy lifting to us and enjoy healthy eating with stocked meals in your fridge. Order online today at thefreshfork.com. Fresh Fork is a proud partner of WOW Network.
This segment is brought to you by Feast Market and Cellar. Now back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Endeavor Hospitality Group and Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
What a great Monday to start the week. Hope you're having a good one and your weekend was good. If not, we're going to start it off for you. Dustin Dopirak from Indy Stars with us. Dustin Schutte, as always. I'm Jim Coyle. Hope you're doing well and your day's off well. Did you enjoy your Sunday?
Me?
Yeah, Dustin.
Yeah. What did we do? We watched the women's game. Took Maxine to the dog park. So
what a relaxing. It sounds like Will Ferrell on
Yeah, and the next thing I'm going to tell you is that we went furniture shopping after that. So
there you go. It was a nice day. We went down to the, what did he say?
Didn't know if we can make it to Bed Bath & Beyond. I don't know.
Did you actually go furniture shopping?
Yeah, we actually
okay, so it was a stressful Sunday then.
It didn't end up being because we purchased. Well, no, we got a rug.
Well, you gotta have a rug. Gotta have.
The rug. The rug ties the room together.
It does. The room together.
It ties the rug.
That's really drastic changes in movies, right there. Like,
the funny thing is, Dustin is getting the other Dustin Schutte is getting none of these.
Nope. No, I got old school. Come on now.
Okay.
You know, tie the room together. You know what it means.
He usually doesn't get them, so I assumed. I just assumed.
You've seen Lebowski, Schutte. I know you've seen Lebowski.
I have seen The Big Lebowski.
Okay, so that's where it comes from. Is the rug really tied the room together?
It tied the room together, man.
Because the nihilist stole the rug.
And he peed on it.
Yes.
Peed on your rug. That's my favorite. Oh, we're getting so off terrain here, man.
Usually,
it's nuts, but that's good that we can do that.
Usually it's when I bring up Zed Key from Ohio State. And what's the line from Pulp Fiction?
Zed's dead, baby.
Zed is dead. Yeah, I haven't seen Pulp Fiction.
It's a chopper, baby. It's what? Like,
I got that one, bud.
Zed. Who's like Zed's dead, baby. Zed's dead. Yep.
Oh my God, I could just laugh all day with this. Oh, driving people nuts because they don't know what we're. Half the people.
No, you have to see Pulp Fiction, Schutte. If you don't watch it now, just do it. Just seriously, you will not.
Jim's told me to watch Pulp Fiction, and I'm gonna get the title right this time. Breaking Away. Have you seen Breaking Away?
Do you know he's not seen Breaking Away? I'm like, are you kidding me? What is wrong with you, dude?
You have to. So you have to see Pulp Fiction as a human. Like, just if you ever like the movie, you have to see Pulp Fiction. Like, it's brilliant.
Exactly, Schutte. Obviously, you're not a golfer.
I play golf, but I don't classify myself as a golfer. That's
another.
But yeah, no, Pulp Fiction. You just have to see. If you've ever liked a movie, you will like Pulp Fiction. I promise. But yeah, Breaking Away you have to see as a person with a connection to Indiana. That is.
This is what I've been told. I haven't been able to find it. Is it on Amazon Prime? Do I have to pay like $4 to rent it?
I think
that's probably what's going to happen.
We had like we watched it in 2014. I was in Bloomington for 5 years before I watched it, and so that was kind of wrong on my part. I finally did, but like my house in Bloomington was like 3 blocks away from the Breaking Away house. Like I was in that part of town.
So
wow, very cool.
It was wild to see that on TV. I'm like, that is my neighborhood. Like it was right there. So anyway, so we should talk about sports so we don't kill everybody. Like
Michael, thanks a lot. And talked to Joe yesterday as well. He married to one of the assistant coaches on the women's team. Thanks a lot. Enjoy everybody that I did get to talk to this weekend. Thank you all for saying hi. By the way, men's side, man, they've got an opportunity to secure the double bye, which I think that they can still finish second in the Big Ten, because if you look at Northwestern's schedule, which I know that's not your beat, you're not following that, but
I can look at it while we're talking, so go on.
But I know that you have. But I know he has the still the knowledge of this conference and this league this year and what's going on. The Northwestern schedule, it's going to ramp up for them these last 4 games. They've got 3 out of their last 4 on the road against teams that all need to win. So Indiana could theoretically still finish second, but that's neither here nor there. To me, it's important because you finish second, you're going to be on the opposite side of the bracket from Purdue for the Big Ten tournament, and that the Big Ten has to want that, because I don't care if it's in Chicago or Indianapolis, which if it was a shame it's not in Indianapolis this year, but I see an Indiana Purdue final at the Big Ten if they're on opposite sides of the bracket for couple of reasons. Number one, that would probably face Indiana against Northwestern in the bracket again. And there's the old adage that it's hard to beat a team 3 times. And, Indiana probably, you could say they could have easily won those games, either one of those games. But their mistakes that they made led to that. So you have that, and I imagine an Indiana Purdue Big Ten final, and I see that happening this year. And boy, is that going to be a freaking battle royale. And I see Indiana winning their first Big Ten tournament. Let me be the first to say it.
You are out on a limb, my man.
I am. I'm out on a leaf. It's not even a limb, brother. I'm on a leaf.
I have seen so many I saw the best Indiana team of the last 15 years go to the Big Ten tournament and get beat.
Every one of them have gotten beat.
Well, no, I mean that 2013 team was really, really good, and who they get? They got beat by Wisconsin up in Chicago for that tournament, and I can't remember even who Wisconsin had. I mean, I think Frank Kaminsky was coming off the bench at that point. They might have had Decker by then, maybe. I'm trying to think of, because I mean, obviously it was some of the guys that would end up going on.
Mike Brusewitz, wasn't he on that team?
Yes.
I just always remember how much of a ridiculous
Mike
dude
Brusewitz.
Who's going to bring? Sounds right. I mean, they all run together.
John popping in to bust up John Brusewitz.
Yeah, they all run together at this point. But I would, they just find ways of messing up there. And again, the other part about it is again, like, what is the value of winning the thing? There is it is very up in the air in terms of what it does for you or does against you when you get to NCAAs. There have absolutely been teams that have burned out because of what they've done. Now, obviously, last year they needed every win they could get, and they got pretty far on the basis of that they got themselves in the tournament because they had a great Big Ten tournament, and it's altogether possible that they go down there and have a great one. But I just kind of feel like, more to the point, this league's all over the place, man. I mean, these standings are insane. Like, look at from behind Indiana, you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 teams with 7 losses, that are either 9-7 or 8-7.
That are all going to make the tournament. That are all going to make the tournament, probably.
Chaos. Probably, and this is going to be utter, complete chaos. I mean, Michigan. Well, is Michigan a lock at 15-12?
No.
A lock for the NCAA tournament?
I did not realize.
So they're not.
I did not realize that was in that group. No, they've got some serious work to do to dream of getting into the tournament.
I presume Maryland, Iowa, Rutgers, Illinois are locks. I heard you talking in the previous segment that Michigan State is kind of up in the air, and you're right.
Yeah.
Although I was just looking at their team sheet, it's pretty good.
The Big Ten has gone from a solid 9 teams into the tournament to potentially down to 7. Depending on what happens with Michigan State.
They've got a lot of teams that are all the same. I mean, I think what's surprising is there are some flips about I remember I had to do a Big Ten power rankings thing in July when after. Or I think it was June when Trace decided he was coming back, and really looked at the roster and was like, "This is a mess." I don't know what to say here. And obviously, there are teams that are in different places than I expect them to be. But if you told me what is going to be the general state of the Big Ten this season, I would say a mess, and it is a mess. I mean, that held the form. I wasn't right on all this. I certainly didn't think Northwestern was going to be in second place in the league.
Nobody did.
I thought Indiana would win it. I thought Purdue would be in good shape, but I didn't think Edey would be. I mean, we obviously knew Edey was pretty good, but I didn't know he was going to be National Player of the Year good. I didn't think he was going to be an absolute brick wall. But it is a mess, and Purdue's pretty good, but Purdue's not great. Purdue is not a great basketball team.
Is there a great basketball team? See, this is what's in. I don't think so either. Here's what's.
I don't think so, and obviously, I'm more removed from it, so maybe because in years I watch it, that I was covering it and therefore watching it all the time, I probably gave a lot of teams more credit than they deserved. But
no, I feel the same.
But from what I'm seeing, no, it doesn't seem like anybody's great. Alabama's pretty darn good. Purdue's pretty darn good. Houston's pretty darn good. But Arizona and Kansas are pretty darn good. But nobody's even close to unbeatable. I mean,
that's what I don't think it's a Big Ten thing. I think it's college basketball. Like this year, we saw Alabama. I mean, they beat Vanderbilt by what, like 175 points, and then they got beat by 30 by Oklahoma. Like it's just, there's no great team this year. This is as much of anybody can beat anybody as I think we've ever seen.
Scheduling. I mean, the only other year that I would have put it on that level was the 2020 season where there was no tournament. Like I remember thinking like just everybody. I mean, Baylor and Kansas started to get some level of separation that year. But I remember like even heading into March, I was like, this is a wreck. Like everybody who gets up number one falls off, and obviously we'll never know because the tournament didn't happen because we had COVID. But yeah, no, I mean, like again, everybody has at least 3 losses or at least 2. With Houston, you get to number 5 and you've already got a team with 5 losses. And there are teams in the top 10 that don't have 20 wins yet. So like that tells you really, that puts the math, I think, in pretty good perspective. Obviously, you're going to get a flip around of the top 25 in a couple hours here. Because Alabama lost a couple right this week.
They lost to Tennessee, and then I think they boat raced Georgia.
Okay, they jumped off, but they lost to Tennessee, so that they might fall.
I'm guessing Houston's going to be number 1. But see, this is what's going to be interesting to me about the NCAA tournament. For the past 2 seasons, the Big Ten we thought has been so damn good, and based on the seeding, they've been disappointing. I don't care what anybody says. They've been disappointing based on the number of teams that they've gotten into the NCAA tournament.
But both can be true at the same time. I mean, because when it comes to the NCAA tournament, you can still be good, and you get to the NCAA tournament, stuff happens, man.
I'm aware of that, but I'm just saying it's still disappointing.
It is very disappointing.
There were years. I mean, like I would say the 2021 season when it was the the year played under COVID from and obviously finished here. That was really the most brutal year from Big Ten underperforming because they had everybody. I mean, like they had like 6 All-Americans in out of the top 15. They had it was Io's year. I really thought Illinois was going to rake. I mean, they looked terrific, and they all go out and get beat by Loyola in that tournament. That year was really the year that kind of set everything back, and then like last year was still some a level of underperformance. So no, they absolutely have, and I think there's a bigger picture discussion about style of play, how the Big Ten plays versus how that shows up. I'd say from an entertainment value perspective, over the last the 3 years prior to this one, I think were basically like just being competitive, having great players. The Big Ten was, I think, the best league, but the Big Ten showed up in the tournament each year and got busted up. And this year, it's not the best league. This year, I take the Big 12.
No doubt about that. Here's a number for you to put this one in your brain. Indiana plays all 5 teams that are in the bottom of the Big Ten standings and all below 500 just once this season. That's never happened since the Big Ten has gone to 14 teams, which makes Indiana's the toughest schedule in the Big Ten and maybe the toughest schedule ever in the Big Ten. Purdue, on the other hand, plays 4 of those 5 twice, and that has only happened 6 times before, making Purdue's schedule one of the easiest schedules in the Big Ten. And
the best part about that is that Ohio State is on the list of teams that is in the bottom, and Northwestern is in the list of teams that is in the top,
which is crazy.
That's where I swung and missed drastically. Like I looked.
Well, who did? But who didn't? Everybody did, man. I mean, Northwestern was picked 13th.
Always good. Yeah.
And they had Bryce Sensabaugh.
Right, who we didn't know was going to be this good either. Like I figured those transfers would be at least decent, and they have not been.
Do we think Chris Holtman's on the hot seat? Like, is he?
No,
there seems to be a lot of growing.
You're not going to be happy, but he's got Bryce Sensabaugh, and I'm sure he's got stuff coming in. It's Ohio State, man. They just need to borrow some of that $13 million in NIL football money.
There's a lot of grumpy fans in Columbus.
Right, which is a great way to get your contract bought out too. There's a lot of money in Columbus. No, I think hot seat maybe not, but I mean, it only takes one bad year to get you on the track.
Right.
Yep.
It only takes now. That doesn't mean you're getting fired now. Like that means you got to ask yourself some questions. I mean,
they want to be Alabama, man. They want to be good in football and good in basketball,
and they have been. Well, first off, like
they've got the resources.
Traditionally, they've been better than Alabama. Like in
basketball
Alabama
by far.
Alabama being good at basketball is very much a new thing in Nate Oates' era. I mean, they've had decent seasons from time to time, the Antonio McDyess era and whatnot. But Alabama being good in basketball has been sort of a random thing. This is the first guy who's got it rolling at Alabama in a long time. You know, Oates has been terrific, and they've stacked good teams that have been talented anyway. And so, you know, that's different. Ohio State has been good at both. Ohio State has been up there in terms of who's the best at both for a long time. So they have every reason to have high standards. And you know they have a great facility. Well, they have a facility that packs them in. You know, I don't know if you're into that very NBA-ish arena or not, but whatever. Bottom line is they tend to get people that show up. And again, they've won. They've been a very competitive, top 5 of the Big Ten program for a good 20 years now. Like they've been pretty reliably up there. And this is a drastic fall off. And Holtman have been pretty good, from a just winning at least in the regular season standpoint. I mean, he had some teams that I didn't think were that good that got someplace. I didn't think Dwayne Washington was going to be a star, at the college level. It turned out to be that year where they were the 2. They got beat by Oral Roberts in that tournament. It was going back to the one in Indianapolis. So bottom line is, yes, there are some things that are not going particularly well on that score, and it only takes one bad year. Again, not long ago we were saying, Tom Allen's not on the hot seat. What are we talking about? He's been tremendous. Everything's going to be fine. And, one bad year turns into 2 bad years because it's once you've lost, it's hard to get it back up. And so, you don't pull the trigger after one bad year because it just doesn't seem right. But yeah, I mean, Chris, if this is where things are going, that could be rough. And if Bryce Sensabaugh leaves, and gets his NBA ticket, well, what do you got?
And you know what? Funny you mention that because of all people, Tom Allen and IU football seems to be pushing all the right buttons right now. They've made some new hires, and those new hires have all kind of seem. I'm like, oh, that seems like that's a good hire, because usually in the past there's 2-3 hires, this and that, and it's always that's all right. I'm like, I don't know about that one. But for coming off of the season they've been coming off of, been a little surprised with the guys they've been able to get, both personnel wise and from a player standpoint, guys continuing to transfer in. So it's a crazy world. So it's going to be interesting to see next year what they're able to do. All kinds of craziness. What's up next for you, man?
Schutte was kind of, I want to see, Schutte was shaking his head a little bit there.
I'll believe it when I see it. You got to have,
well, of course.
No.
Well, of course, that goes.
A lot of things look great in February.
Listen,
a lot of things look great in February.
How? Now I'm not gonna.
I threw something positive out there.
I don't like to be all that negative, but
negative Nancy.
When Dason McCullough came back, we thought, oh boy, there's gonna be some sort of Tevin Cole. He had ties to Tevin Coleman. He did such a great job with Indiana in the previous rushing attack. Indiana's run game has stunk. I mean, it's terrible. And I know he left and they made some changes, but I'm just saying, when he came, there was a lot of excitement. There was a lot of hope. There was a lot of optimism, and straight in the tank. So I'm at a point now where I'll believe it when I see it, because it's been the issues we've been talking about. The offensive line has not gotten any better. They can't run the ball.
That's not true. They did at the end of the year. They changed. Rod Carey started coaching them. The offense changed immensely, but we'll talk more about that. We've got to let Dustin go so he can go off Maxine. And speaking of which, how about Maxine? She gets a biscuit today, man. I need to send. You know what? What's Maxine's favorite treat? I got to put a treat bag in that box that I've got.
I'm gonna let you be creative on that. She's got, first off, the treats we buy her to get her to go in the crate when she needs to are pretty expensive. So I'm not even gonna answer those.
What? I don't even know what that would be. What is it?
You don't know how much money you could spend at a pet store, man.
Oh, I'm sure of that. I'm just saying, but like the ones she likes in the crate, what are those?
Yeah, this thing called True Chews. They're like these jerky treats. They're ridiculous. They're absolutely ridiculous. We also bought I never thought in a million years we bought her a deer antler, like a chew toy. Like I saw these things, I was like, "There's no way, that is insane." They're like $20-$30. But like when I tell you that, she's gone for hours. Like she just sits there with it for hours and just locks in on it.
They love tearing stuff up, man.
Yeah, better than that.
Dustin Dopirak from the Indy Star. Make sure you're giving him a follow. Appreciate you, my brother.
Thank you, guys. Good seeing you.
Betcha. Hey, we've got lots more coming up here, brought to you by our friends at Metalworks Brewing Company, a part of the Endeavor Hospitality Wow Club. Metalworks is served at all the Endeavor Hospitality restaurants, in addition to the fact that you can just go straight to the source yourself. They're a combination of a passion for beer, food, custom metal art, alongside a desire to be actively involved in the community, located right off the square in Bloomington, right on 6th Street. Back with more Indiana Sports Beat and Dustin Schutte right after this.
We'll be right back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Endeavor Hospitality Group and Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington. If you're looking for
I'm in a good mood because I actually got like 6.5 hours of sleep last night. Usually I'm like Buddy the Elf. Like I got a full 40 minutes.
You and me.
I don't know what happened, but last night,
my TV
turns
that
on
I have had forever in my bedroom, a 46-inch, I don't have in there now because there's one that was already mounted. And I have to use that one. Mine, you could set the sleep timer to be by the day. It's just set automatically. You
can set it each day individually.
And I could bring it up and set it to go off on Monday and Wednesday and Friday at a certain time,
right?
Yada yada,
Tuesday,
whatever,
Thursday.
or just Monday or whatever, or every night if I wanted, regardless. Which I had it set to go off every night, automatically. This one you have to manually do every time, and I am ADHD. I go to sleep watching TV, every night, and I half the time forget to set the timer now, and if you don't, it's like float sleeping. You're not really sleeping.
Float sleeping. All right.
You kind of are, but you're kind of not. If you know what I mean.
You're out of it?
What? I thought he was done.
Cody Zeller's never done.
I thought he was done.
Uno minuto.
Uno minuto. Ba-da-da.
So I've got to. Yeah, that's what I've got to start doing.
What?
NCAA Big Ten plans. I've got to look at the NCAA tournament.
Oh.
And Big Ten tournament. Men and women, damn it.
Are they both in Chicago?
No. I thought one was in Minneapolis or something.
Yeah, the women's is in effing Minneapolis. Thank you again, Kevin Warren, you jackass.
And guess what? That's where the men are heading next year.
Yes, I know. Thank you again, Kevin Warren, you jackass.
Here we go.
Endeavor Hospitality Restaurants. Come taste what Dr. Hops is brewing. Metalworks Brewing Company. Bring your passion and your thirst.
This segment is brought to you by Courtroom Sports Grill in Bedford. Now back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Endeavor Hospitality Group and Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Welcome back, Indiana Sports Beat Radio here on this Monday. I hope you're having a good one and your week's starting off well. If not, we're going to hit it in that direction. Brought to you by our good friends at Courtroom Sports Grill down in Bedford. Great place to stop by and watch a game, take the family, meet friends for lunch, Cajun cuisine that is handmade and fresh every day. Incredible. Stop in. Dustin Schutte, all kinds of things to get to over the weekend, of course. Let's see, what golf, Tiger Woods played. Did John Rahm end up winning that tournament?
Yes, he did. John Rahm won. Yep.
I knew he was leading for the whole time I saw at Riviera.
Riviera.
Yeah,
Genesis
Riviera.
Open.
Doesn't mean anything to me.
Was some fun golf, that's for sure. Some interesting. It's always interesting when you go from the WM Open in Phoenix, which is a complete frat party,
dude.
To
now, did that just happen?
It happened Super Bowl weekend. It's always on the weekend. Right? Usually on the weekend of the Super Bowl.
Man, I don't know. Is that a good weekend to have that?
This year probably yes, because
it's everyone's funnest tournament to play in. The Phoenix Open, if you're not familiar with it, is it the 18th where 16th. They go nuts?
16th.
Okay, the 16th on the 16th hole, the fans just become hockey fans.
Yeah, it's insane.
It's if you think of golf, and it's all, they're holding up the "Please be quiet" signs, and everyone is.
Yep, not there.
The golf claps. Oh no, not the Phoenix Open. It's people taking shirts off and yelling and heckling, and
I saw
it's where Jeff Overton wore the candy striped pants in the Phoenix Open once. John, I don't know if you still have that photo, but there was a great picture of Jeff Overton. I think he is hitting into 16 or playing. I can't remember if he's on the green or hitting into 16, but you can see. I think you can see the crowd in the background, and he is in these candy striped pants. And I gotta tell you, it's a pretty damn awesome photo.
I don't think I have. I'm looking through my archives of photos. I don't think I have.
Well, just see if you can pull it up online real quick. But
and what is this again?
Jeff Overton at the Phoenix Open in candy striped pants, in the candy stripes. But he played at IU, obviously, the former pro golfer. But yeah, it's just an amazing photo. But yeah, the Phoenix Open is everyone's. That's an easy one to find. Phoenix Open's. There you go. Look at John doing it.
Look at that.
Look at that. Is that just not an amazing? I know if you're
look at that scene
on radio, you can't see this, but this is we're showing a great photo. He's on the tee box, and you can see this amazing. I mean, that crowd's bigger than most that you see around any 18th hole. But anyway, he's in candy striped pants and the red IU shirt and a white hat. That's just as amazing as a picture. That should be somewhere. Surely that's at IU hanging in an assembly hall someplace.
I would think.
I would certainly hope.
Probably in like a golf complex too. That's pretty awesome.
But there's that. So you got that going for you, which is nice.
It was nice. So yeah, that was fun. Lots of good basketball over the weekend. We got more coming up this week. It's exciting.
The Daytona 530 happened yesterday.
Oh God.
Won by
Ricky Stenhouse Jr.
Ricky Spenhauser. What did I see?
That.
What's Ricky? Like no, Kyle Busch said, he called him Recky Spenhouse.
There you go.
Recky. That was funny. And then there's another one that's funny. But yeah, the Daytona 500 is a weird race, man. It's the crown jewel. In what other sport is the crown jewel first? And
I got an answer for you.
And is it held up to such luck? It takes more luck to win the Daytona 500 and Talladega than any race in NASCAR. And if you look back at the winners of the Daytona 500, you will see many names that are not considered greats in the sport, and many of the greats that did win there. Look at how many starts it took them to win, starting with Dale Earnhardt 20 times, Darrell Waltrip 17 times, Bobby Allison, I think, was like 16, 17 times. Some of the greatest names in the sports, it took them years to win it, and then there's many that didn't win it. It's so much luck because of how that race is and how different it is, and the wrecks that it takes out. Because when there's a wreck in that race or at Talladega, a lot of times you're gonna lose 10, 12 cars.
Wouldn't you say, now this is slightly different because of how the schedule works out, but you could put the Masters in that category. The Masters is the first major tournament in golf. It's not the first tournament.
Yeah,
but it's the first major.
Daytona is the first race of the year. It's
right,
but
they don't
start off.
But they don't have a major. There's no like penultimate event in NASCAR. It's like an NBA schedule or an NFL schedule.
Talladega. There are certain races that are considered jewels.
Well, there are, but it's not
the Daytona 500, Talladega. But they don't.
It.
No. It used to be Indianapolis, but it's not really because they went to the road course instead. The Southern 500, Darlington's kind of up there.
What about Bristol? Would you put Bristol in that category? No.
No, it's a great fun race, but not a major. But
I don't know what else you'd put in there then.
But anyway, but the point is, the Daytona 500 is the crown jewel of NASCAR without question.
Right.
And it is the first event of the year. So it's very odd. But it's not just that. It's the fact that it takes so much luck to win it. And that this is not an indication of who's going to have a great year.
You could argue the Kentucky Derby of being the first of the Triple Crown events.
Good pull, John. Yes. That's a great pull.
No.
Wow.
No.
Okay, come on. He's just mad that you caught up with one.
It's not their first event.
Of the Triple Crown, it is.
See, this is the point I was making with the majors.
Of the Triple Crown, it is, yes. The Daytona 500 is the marquee event of all of NASCAR, and it is the first event of the year. That would be like the Kentucky Derby being the first horse race of the year.
But isn't horse racing pretty much year-round?
Not for your age. It starts and you have your first race as a 3-year-old, which is
you would know more than I would. So.
The Kentucky Derby is 3-year-olds. You have to be 3. That's for 3-year-olds. So it would be like the first race they ever race as a 3-year that they scheduled for the 3-year-olds being the Kentucky Derby. That's not how it happens. They have prep races. There's races a couple weeks before at Keeneland for Derby. Prepping. That's my whole point. They're all prepping. There's no prep for Daytona.
Well,
you
they
go
had
into Daytona, the crown jewel.
They had the Clash at the Coliseum this year before Daytona.
Oh, please don't.
Oh, so now we're backpedaling. Interesting.
That doesn't.
Oh, it doesn't count. Look at this. Look at this backpedal. Could not backpedal any faster. Could not.
If it doesn't count, then that means the races at Keeneland don't count either.
That is not. They're not even close to the same.
Oh, here we go. Me and John out here fist bumping our victories with golf and the Kentucky Derby. Jim doesn't know what to do. He's upset. Jim's upset.
Go to break.
All right, we're going to break. We've got lots more coming up here on Indiana Sports Beat Radio, brought to you by Courtroom Sports Grill, part of the Endeavor Hospitality Well Club. Make sure you stop in down there in Bedford. Just want to say hello to everybody right now listening on WJOB up in the region. 12:30 a.m., 104.7, the voice of the region. And it's where you can find all the IU games and Indiana Sports Beat Radio, more importantly. Hope you guys are doing well. Up there, it's baseball season. Rick Bozich, gigantic White Sox fan, so look forward to him talking about some baseball this year. And Rick is from the region, by the way. He's a region rat as well. Hello to our river rats down in Evansville, the Evansville area, listening on 97.7 ESPN. Always the right call. The Ref. Appreciate you guys all over, and as well as those listening on 89.9 WBRO down in Marengo. And everybody else listening via podcast or YouTube around the world. Our good friends like Bozan and Jordan and everyone all over the place, as we mentioned earlier. Back with more Indiana Sports Beat Radio right after this.
We'll be right back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Endeavor Hospitality Group and Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Whether it's
all right, I'm Audi 5000, 3000, 1000, whatever Audi is.
Oh, okay. You got to start reminding me when you're doing that, and I'll say goodbye to you on the show so it doesn't. When we come back, I'm just going to say I kicked your ass off now.
Yeah, there you go. You just say, I got tired of him.
I got tired of his BS, kicked him out.
He's out. He's out of here. We'll see him again tomorrow, though.
He's suspended until tomorrow.
See if we'll see him with a different attitude. You won't.
Suspended until tomorrow.
All righty. I'll see you guys tomorrow morning.
See ya.
Bright and early.
Debbie, that's a great question. To be honest with you.
I've got Terry Morin, if you want her here for these last few minutes, and a comment from Grace Berger as well.
Anything from the men?
No, you didn't mention that earlier when we were talking about Cliffs.
Well, I know, but always plan on using it once we have it, if we have it to use.
We'll use them tomorrow then. This will be a short segment anyway. We can do the women's basketball stuff, and you can talk about their win one more time, and we can wrap things up.
I doubt we'll have a media. Let's see. Is there media availability today? By chance? Hello? Come on, man. Stop with that crap.
If they do have one, it'll likely be pretty early, wouldn't it, today?
It would have already been scheduled, probably. I thought I sent you, but I don't see it. Damn it. The transcript for yesterday. What is all that noise?
Let me mute you and find out. It's coming from your side. You got about 40 seconds. Here we go.
Restaurant located at the corner of Patterson and Rogers in Bloomington offers a variety of freshly made fare, tying their roots in limestone with their love of Southern eateries. With quality, local, and organic food as their main focus, Southern Stone strives to always provide their guests with an exceptional dining experience. With weekly specials, quick, attentive service, Southern Stone Restaurant provides delicious 5-star comfort food with a Southern charm at 2-star prices. Southern Stone Restaurant is part of Endeavor Hospitality's Wow Club.
This segment is brought to you by K-Bello. Now back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Endeavor Hospitality Group and Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Welcome back, Indiana Sports Beat Radio here on this Monday. Hope you are enjoying it and having a good start. And hope we've helped you with that. On the program tomorrow, don't forget, Mike DeCourcy from the Sporting News and the Big Ten Network will join us. Watched them last night on Big Ten and Beyond as they wrapped up the week in Big Ten, and we'll talk about that as Indiana prepares to take on Sparty at Michigan State in East Lansing. And this is the first home game that they will have after that horrific tragedy that occurred there, the shooting, and so that's going to probably play a part in this. There's going to be a lot of emotion in that game for Michigan State, so that's going to be something to keep an eye on. So it's, while we're thinking of them and all the families, the people involved, it's back to the real world, unfortunately, as things continue to go on. Bracketology, bracket and analysis, whatever you want to call it. We'll talk a little bit about that with Mike tomorrow, as well as Alabama. Are they the number one seed right now? Can you believe that
college basketball fans are going to hate it if Alabama is the number one team in basketball?
I mean, hey, I give them the credit. When Nate Oates was at Buffalo, I'm like, somebody better get that dude. And I was begging, not begging, but I was like saying, that's where Indiana needs to go. It's where Indiana needs to go. It's where Indiana needs to go. Now, this was before they'd even fired Archie Miller. They needed to have fired him, but he had already gone to Alabama and started having success. And I'm like, they need to go make the bold move and just go get him. And then Alabama was smart enough to lock him up to an extension. And now,
and of course, they have the football money to help out with that.
Well, it doesn't even matter. I mean, Indiana has the money. It's about making the moves, about making the right moves at the right time. So Alabama deserves exactly what they're getting. They deserve to be where they are. They did what it took to get there, and they didn't cheat to do it. They got the right damn guy. So, but now it's going to be interesting. Where can Indiana end up? That's, winning the Big Ten tournament or not winning it. I don't know that they have to win it, because I don't know if winning the tournament can even get them much higher than just reaching the championship game, which it just depends. It depends on what happens in front of them. There is a logjam of good teams that have been sitting there, especially those in the Big 12, which are just stacking it up. You've got teams that have so much better quad one wins. That's where Indiana is hurting, is in the quad one win area a little bit. So how high can they get? The 3, I think, is the app. I think that even if they win the Big Ten tournament, unless they get some help, a really high 3 is, I don't know if they can get to the bottom of the 2.
No, not with 8 losses.
Well, I mean, if they win the Big Ten tournament,
I mean, that's fair. That's not out of the realm of possibility.
It still depends on what happens in front of them. But to say win out, that means you've got to go to Michigan State and win. That means you've got to go to Purdue and win. That means you've got to win every game of the Big Ten tournament, which again would mean beating Northwestern and Purdue. So that's a lot to ask. That's a lot to say.
And at that point, if you already beat Purdue once, second time, you'd be trying to beat them for a third time, which we already talked about earlier. The old saying.
Oh, yes. See, all that plays in to this. When they meet Northwestern again, it will be that third time. And it's going to be very difficult for Northwestern to beat Indiana a third time, because actually they probably shouldn't have beat them either time. But Indiana made the mistakes they made and allowed that to happen. I do not expect Indiana to win at Purdue. Just how it is. You're going on the road. You're playing a team that plays well at home. You're playing against a damn good team. You're playing against a team that hasn't lost at home, but once probably.
Just to Rutgers.
Yeah. So no, I don't expect them to win there. No one expects them to win there. Vegas won't expect them to win there. Purdue will be the favorite, and that's okay. That's how you would expect it to be. But then the Big Ten tournament comes around, and that's an equalizer.
1 minute.
It's all neutral, baby, and that's where things change, and we'll get to see that. But looking forward to coming back and doing it again tomorrow. I cannot thank everyone enough, starting with Dustin Schutte, Dustin Dopirak as well, of course, the great Don Fischer, the voice of the Hoosiers, for joining us. John, the producer, of course, keeping us between the white lines. And most importantly, thanks to you guys. Without you, no reason for us to be here. Looking forward to being back again tomorrow to do it all again. And so go out and have yourselves a great day. Until then, I'm Jim Coyle. I will see you on the radio.
Thanks for listening to Indiana Sports Beat Radio. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube page for more clips and team coverage of Indiana basketball, football, and more. You can also find full episodes and tons of other content on thehoosier.com. We'll see you next time for another edition of Indiana Sports Beat Radio.